Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon, and I'm with Summer Wright. Today, I'm being interviewed by them.
Hey, Shannon, it's nice to have you here today.
Nice to have you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. It's a good opportunity.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, Shannon. So to get started, usually we like to find out about people's childhoods because that's usually what kind of shapes them into the person that they are now. So tell us a little bit about your childhood.
As a kid, I grew up with my siblings on my side of the family. One brother, one sister. We grew up pretty much in a Christian household home. All of us grew up together. My brother eventually grew up, went with my dad. Went my dad to St. Louis, moved there with him. And also, my sister. My sister got pregnant with my nephew at 15, and then she came back, restarted her life, got her life together. Now she has a wonderful husband who loves the Lord, who's a great leader, leading the family of 6 now. Got a baby nephew,
Okay.
little JaVale. Oh my goodness, he is the world right now. Him and my little niece. My brother, he's a Marine now, and I'm currently working on becoming a motivational speaker and psychology for humans and helping others
Kind of
better
right
themselves.
down our alley.
Yeah. So,
So-
did you have both parents?
No, my mom died right after I was born. Right after I was born, she died. But
I'm sorry to hear that. If you don't mind me asking, what happened?
they were saying from what the report said that she died. There was too much fluid on her lungs. She
When
said,
she was giving birth to you?
yeah, while she
Okay.
was giving birth.
Wow.
Yeah. So right after, I'm sorry, she was in the hospital and she was trying to get the doctors to help her because she couldn't breathe, and they said she came out to the hallway, passed out, and died right there. So they had to perform a C-section on her to get me out, to get me breathing. And so when they did that, they hurt me in the process, which left a scar right here. And so it also impaired me a little bit, caused me to have a little challenges along life. I'm very open on my podcast that I have ADHD, seizures, short-term memory. But I believe God let me have those things to show people that no matter what sickness or ailments that you have, that you can overcome anything as long as you set your mind to it. You have to get out of that victim mentality first. You have to realize it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
I like
Because
that.
the Bible says, I'm going to shut up after this, but the Bible says, I'm a firm believer in Christ. The Bible says all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, to them that are called according to his purpose.
That's awesome.
I like that. So, you said that you have ADHD, seizures. How do you think those affected you in your childhood, and how do you think they affect you now?
As a kid, I can only remember having maybe at least one seizure, at least as a child, and then through my adult life, I had a seizure as well. I only remember maybe 1 or 2 seizures happening, but I believe God has healed me, and that's when I want people to know that there is a God, and He does heal, and He does change lives. As a child, I always had to be monitored and watched at a certain level. But as I got older and started being able to handle things by myself, I was able to get dressed, do things, work, have a job, and all these different things. And, it's funny because the doctors said that I'd never be able to drive, I'd never be able to think, I would always have someone to do something for me. I'd never be able to cognitively function and think, critically on my own. But we see God is rewriting that story.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing.
I don't know. It really is. It really is.
So, you said that you had siblings, and what age were you kind of learning to be on your own? Not be on your own, but learning that you could do the things that the doctor said that you couldn't.
See, here's the thing about it. I've always been sheltered as a kid. I won't run from that. Sheltered, spoiled rotten,
One question, real quick. You said so your mom passed. Who raised you?
My grandfather. My grandfather raised me.
Where was your dad at?
My dad's in St. Louis. He raised my other four brothers actually. One's named Josh, William, Sean. The three brothers, actually, he raised them. Currently, two are on the right path. The other one's a little praying for them. But I'm trying to be an example for them to show them that we as men, we're getting stereotyped, especially as black men. We are known for gang violence, drugs, abuse, drinking, all these things. And so what I want to do as a young African American male is change that narrative and show them that we can be men of God. We can be educated. We can be astute. We can learn, grow, and develop. It may not be as fast as someone else, may not be as quick as someone else, but we're all processing and going through it each differently.
Okay, yeah. I agree with that. So do you think that you had someone in your life that's helped you get there, though?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Number one, God. Absolutely. God, absolutely.
Your grandfather, is he a firm believer of God?
He's a minister. I was raised in a Christian home. He's a minister, yes. And I just, really for me, I've been surrounded by men of God all my life. I never, no good.
I was just going to say, so how do you think if someone who wasn't around that, never had a mom or dad that believed in God, how do you think that they can maybe get to where you're at if they never had like an influence like that?
Or motivation.
Really, it all starts with the mentality.
Definitely mind over matter.
We as humans, we always like to look inwardly. We're always self-absorbent. I would say we're more of a grandiosity. Now, the word grandiosity means self-absorbed. The basic of it means self-absorbed. It means, always wanting attention to yourself.
Me.
Yeah. We're born in grandiosity. That's just really the nature of it because of sin. What Adam and Eve did, all those sins, vanity, pride, lust, all those things were passed down to us. So by that nature, we're subject to grandiosity. We want to be known. We want to be heard. We want to be seen. We want to be recognized, which is nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with it to a certain extent to where we become self-absorbed. And I believe at a young age, me having grandparents and being raised, I had been spoiled to a certain point. But I had to realize there was a certain point that my grandparents couldn't do what I needed to do as a young man. And so there were certain things that transpired in my life that I felt like God was trying to show me, hey, it's time for you to level up and become a high-value Christian man. And from the certain things that happened in my life, I'm going to say this and I'm going to let y'all talk. I went through something recently last year that showed me that I need to really level up as a young man. And so that's where the High Value Christian Man podcast was born from.
What showed you that?
There was an incident that happened between me, my pastor, and a man of God. And my pastor showed me a side of myself that I think subconsciously I knew that side. But because I was sheltered by my grandfather, he always ran to my rescue, I wasn't willing to acknowledge that. But when I acknowledge, that's why I say face yourself. Face yourself. Face your darkest self. Because in the dark, God is the light.
Yeah.
Go into the darkness. We tend to run from darkness because we're scared and we fear things. You want to know something amazing? Guess how many times the word fear is mentioned in the Bible?
How many?
365 times. So that's a do not fear. Yeah. For every single day. Do not fear. Do not fear. Do not fear. But yet we live in fear. We have to learn to let that fear go. Empty our minds of that fear.
So how old are you again?
26.
26. So back to what I was saying before, what age you said God was showing you that you need to level up and go into these areas that you haven't before. So when did that start happening for you?
That happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on my self-improvement journey for almost a year now.
Okay. That's awesome.
Reading books, Jordan Peterson, 12 Rules for Life, Laws of Human Nature. Also reading a book by a lady by the name of, can't remember her name, but it was called In Order to Live. It was by a Korean girl, how she survived during the time of Korea, where things were so strict. In the Korean world, things are very, very strict, and they're more of a communistic government. They don't believe in equal opportunity or capitalism. She talked about how she escaped that, her family escaped that, and I've kind of paralleled that to how people are now, what the world is becoming now. And it's very scary. I was talking to the fellas about this, is because our world is slowly becoming a socialistic government.
Yeah.
Now, quick definition of socialism is having control over everything and giving no one else no other option. And it's scary because I feel like the people that are in charge, they're not leading this country right. Look at our economy, right? Look at our school system. They're still closed-minded. They're teaching them to be closed-minded. They're teaching them to have one way, one idea, one level of thinking, and it's destroying them. They're coming out of these schools with one way of thinking, and it's killing them. Therefore, it's limiting their chances of success. It's limiting their chances of self-growth and development.
Okay.
I definitely think that, the world, in my opinion, I agree with you, is kind of being, how do you say, socialist?
Yeah, socialism.
Yeah. Becoming very more socialism. And I do think that there's a lot of control out there. There's been, a lot of things that we can and can't say, like, especially on people trying to express their sexuality. Like, I think that things like that are becoming very more controlling. But yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. This is very true. I feel like when it comes to the whole sexuality thing, I'm kind of very touchy on that subject, because I feel like it's funny you would say that, because feminism is running rampant in our world today. I mean, to a certain extent, basically here's how feminism started. I'm just going to tell you guys how feminism started. It started based off the idea that women did not have the equal rights as men.
Mm-hmm.
But who's binding you? Who's stopping you from making all the money you want? Who's stopping you from driving? Now remember, feminism is built off of we're being oppressed.
Okay, well, I will say, at one point, I would say, like, back in the day, like, sometime, I don't know exactly the time, for 19 something, no, there literally was, like...
That's true.
But, like, now I feel like things, I don't know exactly, but I feel like things have gotten more equal, but I believe that, there's a yin and yang to everything, so I feel like everyone should be equal.
Yes.
I wouldn't call myself a feminist. I believe in equality, because we gotta have balance.
Definitely.
So,
That's
yeah.
very true. It's very true. But I feel like feminism is destroying the fabric of a relationship between a man or a woman.
But not everyone's a feminist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not saying
on the
everybody
person.
is one. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it feels like I'm not saying feminine people who are feminists, they're bad people. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I don't want to give off that. I love everybody. I care about everybody. I'm called to love. So if somebody says I'm a feminist, hey, I'm gonna love you, hug you, and do whatever for you, just like anybody else. I'm not finna sit here and say, oh, you're the worst person because you're a feminist. No. If you're a feminist, hey, I love you to death. You want to go get some ice cream? Bet. It's on me. Let's go. I'm just that kind of person. I love people.
Yeah,
And it feels like what I'm trying to bring out about that point is feel like these type of things, they're what dividing us and stopping us from going.
I definitely think there's a lot of dividing that's happening, things like that. I think it just kind of boils down to everybody's own personal journey and where they're at, you know what I'm saying? If somebody's feminist, not feminist, or they just believe the same thing as you or they don't, things like that.
Yeah, I feel like the only way that everyone could actually, if we could all be in unity, was if everyone moved off of love.
Yeah.
But, but I mean genuine love. Like, I feel like love, if I love you, why should I have an opinion on you of how I want you to be? If I want to change you, if I really love you, I should want to nurture somebody.
Yes.
Like, why would I don't know, love shouldn't be like want to change somebody. It shouldn't be opinionated. Right. That's genuine. But not everyone moves off love because not everyone's been given love.
Yeah.
So.
Or know how to love.
Right.
And see, that's the amazing thing about it. because Christ came and showed us the deepest form of love when he died.
He did.
That is very true.
John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only That is the deepest. Think about your only child. The only child. Would you give that up for people that would hate you, curse you, not believe in you, not care about you, not respect you?
No, I mean,
Think about that.
I did give away my child though.
Well, I mean, but you know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, if it was for like the purpose, but he knew like there was a greater purpose in it though.
He did.
And he trusted his father, so.
He did. And then that's it's like what I'm trying to bring out in that point is he gave love knowing that he may or may not ever get that back.
That's genuine love though.
There it goes. That's what they call agape love.
Mm-hmm.
Agape. It says eros, filio, and agape. The deepest form of love is agape. And that's what we need in the world. Agape love. We get that, we're unstoppable.
Okay, Shannon. So you said that your main goals in life right now are to be a motivational speaker and to maybe be like a psychiatrist.
Yes.
So how are you going to achieve those goals?
Right now, I'm taking classes in psychology right now. Learning psychology. I want to learn. I became interested in the psychology of humans. I'm trying to remember how I became interested in it. It's because I started reading different books. And then when I started reading different books, I actually saw things that I was reading in the books. And I was like, what if I take this deeper? What if I learn about people? What if I learn exactly how the human race works? And so I began digging and learning and reading more books. And the more I read, the more I learned, the more I understood how we as humans work. Right now, you guys are paying attention to me because that's a limbic nerve in your brain that's causing you to pay attention and to be attentive, right? It's what they call I want to call it focus zone. It's like when you zone out and you're focused on one thing and you don't focus on anything else. I forgot what's a flow. It's called the flow.
Right.
So right now, what we're doing right now would be considered a flow of the mind. It's when your mind and all your neuron circuits are focused on one train of thought, one thing. Anything else that happens outside of here, it doesn't matter. Like there are cars passing by right now, but you're not focused on that because you're in that zone.
Right, and you can only think one thought at a time. You can only think one thought at a time.
Sounds like you have like a lot of like good goals, and it sounds like you're achieving the goals that you have set out for yourself. Usually we talk a lot about like different obstacles and stuff people have gone through. What would you say was just the largest obstacle that you've had to face that you've already overcome?
I would say training my mind, not being lazy. Training my mind, disciplining myself.
How did you do that? I'm still working on that, and it is hard. Like, say you're trying to work out, and you don't want to get up and go do it. How do you get disciplined?
It has to be over a period of time.
Right.
Think of it as drinking water. Why do you drink water?
Because we need that to survive. Your body needs
Why do you eat?
To survive.
Why do you wear clothes? You know, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this.
I wear clothes because, like, I have to. I can't go.
That's the same way it is with discipline. Don't do it because, no, I have to do this.
Right.
Make that an urgency. I have to go to the gym.
Right.
I have to read this book. I have to do this podcast.
Right, because, like, listen, I tell myself, like, you get up and go to work every day. Why can't you get up and work out?
Exactly.
You know, you work for someone else, work for you.
Exactly.
Like,
it's a choice.
Right, it is, for sure.
And we are defined, our life is defined by a series of choices. Mm-hmm. Look at the long spectrum. If I don't work out, if I don't eat right, if I don't work on myself, eventually I'm going to get overweight. Eventually I'm going to be stupid and illiterate. Yeah. And women are not going to want to have nothing to do with me at all. I'm not going to have any goals or dreams or nothing to achieve, so I'm just going to waste my life playing video games, eating chips.
But some people do that, and they enjoy their life like that.
And that's fine. That's them.
Right. You're talking about for you.
But for me,
right,
I know the reason why I'm like this because I know God has a calling on my life. He wants me to do something.
So like, how do you?
So there's that sense of
how does
urgency.
someone find that?
You have to get in tune with God first.
Right. I guess I'm just
Definitely
asking
agree.
for people that didn't grow up with anyone that believe. I don't know. I guess.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
First, you have to figure out what do you want.
Right.
I would advise everyone right now to, if you want to achieve anything, and I'm still working on this. Like I said, I'm in progress. I'm not completely there. I'm not made it. Write down the things you want in life: family, friends, success, finances, mental, spiritual, emotional. Write down the things you want in these areas of your life. And when you write them down, step back and say, now, what is it going to take for me to have this?
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be, I'd give the same advice to people. For a lot of people that don't know, for say, who they are, you might not know
You have
who
to
you
learn.
are. You figure out who you want to be and then start taking the steps on how you're going to get there.
But see, that's reverse.
How?
That's reverse. Here's how. We always start with thinking, then we go to being, and then we do. When really we should flip it. We should start doing, and then we'll start being, and then we'll start thinking.
I definitely think you should think before you do.
Yeah.
100%.
So the reason why I'm saying is because one lady, I may have flipped it around wrong, but she took it instead of first we should think about it, right? Then we should be it, think it, be it, and then you do it, right?
I know though, like one thing I know is like this. I can't remember who said it, but it says, "Be careful what you think because it's gonna become like
your action."
Your action, yeah. And be careful what you do as an action. It becomes a habit, and your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. So I definitely can agree to that part. Yeah.
But see, in order to, here's the thing. You have to want change.
That's true.
100%.
That's so true.
You're only gonna get as much as you take out of something.
That's
You can
true.
put yourself in rehabs. You can put yourself in self-help programs, and it doesn't matter what you put yourself in. It matters how you apply yourself to it.
Right.
So how have certain things in your life, the way you transpired, and where you are right now?
Me? Wait, let's say it again.
How have you felt your life has gone, and things that have transpired led you where you are right now? How do you feel?
Definitely because I applied myself and I let myself be open to change, because I can be like a closed-minded person like I used to be, I would say. Like I was very steadfast on like you were saying before, like me, things like that. Even though I'm a loving person, things like that. But I've been sent off to programs. I've been in rehabs and detox. I've been in a lot of different facilities, and there's been plenty of times I wasted months and months away because I wanted to be not even necessarily just closed-minded. I was just very stubborn in my own way. And you know where it got me? Nowhere. It didn't get me anywhere. It just, I was stagnant and I didn't grow. Wasn't thinking for myself. I was just letting the world go on, and I was just staying in where I wanted to stay. I wasn't growing at all. So once I applied myself and became open to change and told myself I have to do it like you were saying, and not just made it like an option, because if it's an option, your flesh just doesn't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Your flesh normally doesn't want to go work out or things like that. But once you give yourself the mentality and teach yourself and train yourself to say, I have to do this, I have to do that, then you will. If you tell yourself, for me, I had told myself, I have to get sober. If I move back home, I have no choice. I have to be sober. And over time, that's what happened. That's what I did.
What about you?
What was the question?
How do you feel like the events of your life transpired and changed you?
How do I feel like the events of my life have transpired and changed me? Let's see. Let me think for a second. I like to think about stuff before I say it.
Sorry, take it down.
No, you're good.
We didn't
You
switch
tell me
around.
this.
Right. I mean, the events in I've been through, some pretty heavy obstacles in my life, and it really what took me to come to a more to do different things and to have a different mindset was really just to change my perspective. Everything is based on perspective, kind of like they say you can look at the glasses half empty or half full. That's kind of how I try to look at things from a positive perspective. And then I also, you can't live in the past. You can think about the future, but you can't be in the future. So I try to just stay in the moment. You can't be in another moment. Like, can you be in a different moment? No, you can only be in this moment. So whenever I feel myself starting to get like in these, like, 'cause I'm very emotional. Yeah. I'll be like, man, we're just in this moment, so I'll ground myself and I'll focus on my breath. All right, I'm just in this moment. Like, usually there's nothing even going on in the moment. It's just your head. I'm in my head all the time. Around me, there's nothing going on. I'm just in here. If we got out of our heads and just looked around, reality is not what we think in our brains.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know, to answer your question, I don't know if that's exactly an answer, but that's what I had to say.
Yeah.
I definitely think being in the moment and you can't be caught up in your past, can't be caught up in the unknown, the fear of the future and things like that.
Because no anxiety is going to change what's happening.
And no matter how much you worry about something or you're just worrying, basically, it's not going to change anything. I remember when I first came home and, like, me and Reagan and our friends were on a trip and I was having, like, kind of like a panic attack because, like, something had triggered me. And she just kind of took me off to the side and she was like, look around you. She's like, what do you see? And I was like, cars just passing by. She was like, all right, what else? It was like trees, buildings. She was like helping me point out things like that. And it's just calm me down. You just have to take what the moment is in the moment and understand that world's not falling apart. You know what I'm saying? And you could be in a bad situation, but it's all about perspective, mind over matter, how you apply yourself to things. Life really is about me. You want to focus on yourself so that to better yourself, you can't just be selfish. Like, it is about everyone else as well. But if everybody just devoted the time to really work on themselves and better themselves as a whole, they'd be able to help more people.
The world would be better as a whole.
You can't go help everybody else if you haven't even helped yourself. That's the whole point of self-help. Self-help, love, and then agape love and everything else like that. Like, it all falls, like, coincides. There has to be a balance in everything, because if there's not, there's going to be too much of this, too little of this. Just depends.
And in the world, that's when the world falls in chaos. And it's funny we would say that balance, because in the world there has to be a balance. Too much of, like you said, too much of anything. Too much love. Think about a relationship. If you were in a relationship, if he love bombs you, you're gonna block him. Like, you're like, okay, this guy's, because I believe that stems from, because I know I've struggled with that love bombing and whatnot. And it stems from not loving yourself first. Not knowing your own worth. When you don't know your own worth, you're always going to be looking for validation.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because it normally not only stems from self-love, but it also stems from a childhood error that someone has made. You felt like your mom didn't pay attention. You felt like your dad didn't pay attention. You felt littler than your siblings. You weren't the best in your siblings group. You always got pushed to the side. You always got put last. You always got put down, right?
Neglected.
Exactly, neglect. So now you have this chip on your shoulder, this emotional and psychological chip on your shoulder. That's why you dress the way you do. That's why you act the way you act. That's why you have the type of friends and associations. It's because of everything that has happened to you from your childhood.
Right. Yeah. That's why we like to touch base with people's childhoods.
Right.
Let's try to focus the attention a little bit back on you. And what's just something that, where do you see yourself? Normally you say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And where, it could be mentally, financially, physically, who you have around you. Just if you could just pick anything in the next where you'd be in 5 years, what would that look like for you?
I see myself doing great things, for
Like
God, helping build the kingdom of God. I see myself traveling the world. I see myself speaking to millions of people, helping people psychologically. I see myself getting my degree, motivating people. I don't know if you ever heard of Eric Thomas. I see myself meeting him.
That's awesome.
Maybe even surpassing him. That's grandiosity, but I mean, hey, it is what it is, but I want to be one of the best motivational speakers out here.
That's awesome.
And if he ever gets a hold of this video, I just want him to know, I'm coming. I'm coming.
He'll see it. Sooner or later,
He'll see it.
Gotta talk it.
He'll like,
Speak it
that's
up.
that kid that been sending me his videos every time he do a video. Every time I do a video, I send it to Eric Thomas, whether he sees it or not. Because I know one day, it's just going to happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So just in 5 years, I just want to help other people develop as I develop.
That's awesome. You have anything else?
Do you have anything else that you want to say, Shannon?
Any advice you want to give just overall to our viewers and listeners?
The one main advice I would say is this is good. I'm glad maybe God brought this. Take your time with yourself. There is no rush.
Yeah.
Take time with yourself. The world we have today is instant. It's just like, your phone, I don't know.
Fast
My
food.
phone is like, the phone, it's like fast food or internet or Instagram or Facebook. We get these hits of dopamine, and we're a prisoner to this. That's why we have so many I realize that myself. That's why we have so many psychological issues, because we're a prisoner of this. We can never set this down. We can never clear our minds because of this. We're always struggling with insecurities because of this. We see a pretty girl or we see a buff guy or anything. Man, I wish I could look like that. Just stop.
Our viewers could definitely disagree, but next time, you're doing something that's not on your phone and your phone chimes or dings or whatever, and see how quickly you go get
That's
to that.
right.
See, how quickly does your attention just completely get off track of studying? You could be reading a book, anything. Can you leave your phone inside and go walk outside for a walk? And are those things you're able to do? Because that's just, it's not about so much the phone's so bad. It's just more about don't you want to develop those things like self-love, and don't you want to help yourself? There's things you want to help yourself in the best way you can. You can't do that if you're very wrapped up in what the world has to say, because
Right.
that's just how it is.
And before we finish, I'm going to say this. The world is always going to have an opinion of you.
Always.
But guess what?
The world hated Jesus.
Yeah,
They're
hated
gonna hate
Jesus.
you too.
They had an opinion. Every time he healed somebody, he healed on the Sabbath day.
Yep.
Well, the disciples are eating out the field. Always something negative.
Always.
And that's the thing. People are always going to have an opinion. But guess what? They don't matter. Because 10 years from now, it won't matter.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's just focus on the little things. Focus on God. Focus on developing. Focus on surrounding yourself with the right people. And I promise you, we can all create a better world that God would be proud of.
That's awesome.
So,
All right,
appreciate
man. I
that.
appreciate you.
Thank
For
you
real.
so much.